Okay, hello everyone. Okay, so this is something new that I'm trying, and we're going to preview Liverpool v Arsenal today, and we're going to take a look at how both teams might possibly line up. I think it's quite an intriguing match for both Liverpool and Arsenal because you've got the internet 2 week international break after tomorrow. So whatever happens tomorrow is going to create a huge vacuum or it's going to benefit from a huge vacuum for discussion. So I just wanted to show how both teams might line up tomorrow. And what I've got there is the tactical board of Liverpool and Arsenal and how we might potentially line up, how both teams might potentially line up against each other. So we'll take a look at both teams. We'll look at some of the key tactical decisions or the key selection decisions that Arteta and Arne Slot would need to make, and how I think the tactical battle might play out. So bear with me. We're going to look at both teams. We're going to look at the selection. We're going to look at some of the key movements, some of the key battles, etc. So let's get straight into it. Let's make some minor adjustments, and then we will get into it. So let's see. Let's have a look at the tactics. So what we have here is the shall we say the Arsenal team. So it's the Arsenal team on the left and the Liverpool team on the right. So I think the way Arsenal would line up, you will have Raya in goal, okay, and then we'll have Timber a right back, and then we will have Saliba and Gabriel at centre back, and I think Arteta would go for Calafiori at left back. So that makes up the Arsenal back five. We have Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, and then Timber right back. So hopefully that's clear. Let me zoom that in a bit so you can see it quite clearly on the screen there. Okay, so we now have the back five of Arsenal. Let's see the rest of the outfield players. So bear with us a second. I will okay, let's go to the outfield players. Let's see what the so you have a back five instead of Gabriel, Saliba, Calafiori, Timber, and Raya. I think in midfield you will have Zubimendi and Declan Rice. Quite easy selection for Arteta there. I think there's no doubt. What I'm going to do is I'll leave out the controversial or the more contentious decisions, and I'll pick what I think is almost certain. So you will have Gyökeres up front, and I think you will have Madueke on the right wing. Okay, so that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players. This is where I think Arteta has a bit of a choice to make, in that he has to select from Eze, Martinelli, Mourinho, and Nwaneri. So out of these four players, who plays where? And I think that's going to be a crucial tactical decision for Arteta. My feeling is he will go with Martinelli on the left wing, because Martinelli, who does well at Anfield, he's got a great engine, he's got good speed. And we'll look at the Liverpool team in a minute and why I think Martinelli is probably best suited Liverpool the left wing role, supporting Gyökeres and Madueke. So that leaves the number 10 role. I think it's highly unlikely that Odegaard would make it by the fact that he picked up a shoulder injury against Leeds. And in Arteta's press conference yesterday, he hadn't trained all week. So I think if Odegaard makes it, he'll probably make the bench. So the player that I would pick to play ahead of Rice and Zubimendi would be Eze. I'll play Eze in the 10 role. That fills the gap that would be left by Odegaard's absence. And I think it's also essential that if Arteta decides to play Eze, he plays Eze in his strongest position. So what I expect to see is Eze kind of moving more in this area here, playing in this area, moving in this direction, moving in that direction, moving further, left and right, and probing and allowing Martinelli to stick more in kind of keep a bit more width in that direction. So I think this is how I expect Eze to influence the game, in that he can go left, he can go right. But he doesn't necessarily have to go in left on the left wing, because Martinelli can cover both, in that direction. So as it does not get, bogged down in the kind of the defensive area of the pitch, or doesn't get dragged into. So let's get rid of that in a minute. That's how I expect Arsenal to line up. Let's look at Liverpool. Let's get rid of these arrows. In goal, it will be Alisson. I think left back, it will be Kerkez. Van Dijk and Konate would play in the centre of defence. And the right back, I'm not too sure. I think Conor Bradley is fit, according to Slot's press conference. But watching the game against Newcastle on Monday, I think, I saw Szoboszlai play there, and I think he actually did a decent job. I think Slot will probably go with him again as the more secure option. And then in midfield, I expect to see, I think McAllister's fit, so it would be McAllister, Gravenberch. I expect to see Salah on the right wing. I expect to see Gakpo on the left wing. I expect to see Florian Wirtz in the number 10 and Ekitike up top. So when you actually look at a matchup, you can see that actually both teams are actually a mirror image of each other. You could call it 4-3-3 or 4-2-1-3. However you see it, there's that link man in the middle of the park, and for us, it would probably be Eze here, and let's highlight that. So it would probably be Eze in that role. Oops, we don't want to do that. So let's get rid of that. Actually, let's get rid of that. So I think Eze would be the link man for me. And I think Florian Wirtz would be for Liverpool as well. So that is a good tactical matchup, both teams being mirror image of each other. So what you're going to see is a very congested midfield, right? I expect Gyökeres to play more towards that direction. I expect Martinelli to come inside. And when, the danger for Liverpool is when Arsenal, let's just shuffle the pack, right? If Arsenal are attacking, you have Madueke gets in, you have Zubimendi, you have Eze getting into the number 10 role, and you probably have Gyökeres here. And I think you see Martinelli kind of moving, maybe staying back a bit, because what Liverpool will do, and it's going to be quite clear, is that they will leave Salah head quite a lot. And to make this a bit more clearer, let me remove a few more players, so you can see some of the potential. The reason why I think it's important that Martinelli plays on the left wing to counter the potential danger posed by Salah. So in an attacking phase where Arsenal are advanced, and you have Rice and maybe Gabriel and Saliba have pushed up, you maybe have Calafiori moving up, and then Timber maybe lining up and Calafiori inverting. What Liverpool would do is they will leave Salah out wide quite a lot, right? And then what they will try and do is, whenever Liverpool win the ball back, you will see a lot of crossfield balls to Salah, right? To catch Arsenal. And that's something that Arsenal would need to look out for. That Salah doesn't necessarily track back. I expect Szoboszlai to stay back a lot to deal with the threat of Martinelli. And if Gyökeres, if we're advancing, Gyökeres is up top, Calafiori is tacked in, you maybe have Martinelli here, advanced facing Szoboszlai. And maybe you have Rice, you have Madueke. I've removed a few more Liverpool players to make the pitch a bit less congested. Salah is going to be the danger man. And I think you're going to see a lot of the crossfield balls from balls switching from left to right, whether it's from Kerkers. So Kerkers will get on the ball and he will not look to drive. He will be looking to switch play to Salah. Now, I think that's one thing that Arsenal need to be very mindful of. However you look at it, I think Salah is a huge danger to Arsenal. And that switch ball could be quite problematic. So I think it's important that Arsenal don't get too drawn in. And I expect maybe Gabriel to do that quite a lot. Gabriel will go a lot towards the left wing to counter Mo Salah and avoid the overload. And maybe Saliba will drop back a bit and Timber will drop back to stop Salah getting in behind effectively. So if Salah does that, it's going to be quite problematic for Arsenal, because you're going to get Gabriel having to track Salah's run. I don't know why this is not moving. Let's get rid of this. So I think you're going to have Gabriel kind of tracking Salah a lot and Saliba moving in. Then you've got Florian Wirtz, who I think will stay in the centre quite a lot, and Ekitike will be behind. Will say central, and then Wirtz will be the link man. So the problem for Arsenal is you've got to be careful when Liverpool are in possession. They will look to switch play quite a lot. And I think against United, we saw that quite a bit. You will see Liverpool doing the same thing, switching play from left to right to make sure to give Salah that free, and then they'll create the overload. Right. So that is one area of a threat that Arsenal would need to be careful of. I think for Arsenal, right, it's important for us to keep the ball in central areas and allow Madueke to advance and pin. So when the ball is in a central area, let's say Eze is in possession, right, it's important for Madueke and Martinelli to keep the width. So let's just say you have Rice, Zubimendi behind. Let's say Eze is advancing with the ball. It's important for Gyökeres to stay central and for Martinelli to keep the width. Right, engage their fullbacks. And then you will have Van Dijk and Konate. Right. And it's really important for Eze to thread. Eze in possession will need to look for threading the balls in that direction. Threading the ball in that direction. Right. Keep them engaged in the wide areas, and also centrally keep the centre backs engaged. So whilst it's true that Eze likes to drift, I think it's important that he stays central. Arsenal's attack, historically, we've not been very good at probing centrally. So it'd be interesting to see if Eze starts, whether you're going to see a lot more central probing, a lot more attacks going through the centre. Fullbacks engaging Liverpool's fullbacks, Gyökeres staying central. And also Timbers overlapping. In this game, I actually don't expect to see Timber overlapping a lot. Gakpo would be here, and I think Timber is going to be a very good matchup for Gakpo because Timber is a very good defender. So I'm less worried about this area here. I expect Gakpo's heat map and general positioning to be around this area here, and I expect Salah to be a lot more advanced. I think for me, Salah is going to be the danger man, because he will hang back and look for the crossfield balls. If Martinelli gets caught up the pitch, I expect Szoboszlai to advance, but I also expect Szoboszlai to come inside a bit more to make the middle of the pitch congested. So all in all, right, I think when you look at the way each team's going to set up, it's going to be a very, very congested area of the pitch, right? The pitch is going to be extremely congested in this area. It's going to be an extremely congested pitch. And it will be interesting to see how that plays out in terms of the game. So, because both teams set up quite similarly, and we have kind of similar kind of players. Now, if Arsenal are going to win this game, I think it's really important that we don't get caught on the counter too much. And I think a lot of the counter attacks is going to come from Salah. I'm quite confident that in terms of, let's look at a few battles. And again, I'll try and get rid of a few players from the tactical board so you can see where some of the battles are going to emerge. Let's keep Szoboszlai. Let's keep Calafiori on the left. I think one thing is Ekitike is he likes to start in this area and he goes central, right? And I expect Saliba to follow him, Saliba to really stick to Ekitike, right? And then Gabriel will give the extra assurance for Salah. So in defending, I think Calafiori or in defending, maybe Calafiori will tack in, and then Martinelli. In a conventional build-up attack, I expect Martinelli to go towards Salah. Gabriel will tack in, Calafiori will free in. So you have Salah, and it will be whether Sloboslai will, overlap or not. But I expect to see very little overlapping from Sloboslai because he's not a conventional right back, and I think given the defensive problems that Liverpool have been having, I don't expect to see Sloboslai, overlapping quite a lot. So I expect him to actually join midfield because he's naturally a midfielder to make it a lot more difficult to break down. So I think the support to Salah is probably going to come from Wirtz. He's going to try and play close to Salah and close to Ekitike. Wirtz will drop quite a lot to get the ball and then will probe. I think Saliba goes with Ekitike. I expect Zubimendi to go with Wirtz. If Zubimendi doesn't go with Wirtz, he will stay back and it will be Rice who goes with Wirtz. And then you got McAllister, who also likes to get forward a lot. So Liverpool got a lot of attacking threat from McAllister, Wirtz, and Ekitike. One thing that needs to improve tomorrow is Arsenal's counter-attacking style. And I think that's why it's so important for Eze to play tomorrow. Because with Eze, we have, you have a ball carrier who can drop deep and carry the ball over long distances. Eze can carry the ball long distance, can beat players, etc. So, and that's going to be quite a key feature of our game because when Liverpool turn over possession, we need ball carriers. I think Madueke is going to be key. I think Martinelli is going to be key, but we need good decision making, and it's very important for them to give Eze the ball to create. So, but in terms of counter-attacking, I think clearly Liverpool are more suited towards counter-attacking than us. In a conventional build-up attack, they will, go back. They will go back into, traditional setup. But I think when defending, Arsenal are a lot more compact. So a lot of opportunities, again, is probably going to come from just building conventional attacks or set pieces. And we've seen, where when Arsenal have got, say, a set piece in either of these wide areas, right, what would happen is we will advance Gabriel, Gyökeres, Gabriel, Saliba. Eze would probably stay back. Madueke. You'd have Timber in there. And maybe they would have, McAllister somewhere around here. You'll have Florian Wirtz, who's obviously going to be no good in a set piece situation. And they'll probably bring Ekitike back as well into defense. Now, I think they will leave Salah, floating when we have a set piece. I expect Rice, let's say we have a set piece here. I expect Zubimendi to be here. I expect Calafiori to be in the middle. And I expect Martinelli to, to be on the fringes. So we'll have our big players centrally and the quick players on the fringes to track back. And then you'll have Zubimendi here. And you probably have Eze also here. So set pieces are going to be quite key for us, right? And one of the things I say as well, I think this game is going to be won from the bench, right? So when you look at it, if we bring all the Arsenal players back, let's bring Arsenal players back to their positions. Leave Wirtz. Let's bring our players back onto their positions. Leave Ekitike. Leave Konate. Leave Timber. Put Calafiori back. bring Gabriel and Saliba. So there we have it. We in Spilverts, Callister, Salah, goal back. Got Martis Sloboslai. Let's bring back Martinelli, Konate, and I'll put Van Dijk back in. When you look at it, right, I think this game is going to be so tight. Arsenal hopefully would have Mourinho, Waneri, and let's say hopefully Trossard. Hopefully Trossard makes the bench. Let's put Gakpo there, Gravenberch. Liverpool, I'm not sure what options Liverpool will have on the bench, but I'd imagine they have Conor Bradley. Just looking at their last game, and they brought in the Italian fella whose name escapes me. Let's see who Liverpool might potentially have on the bench. So in the last game, Liverpool brought on Harvey Elliott, Ngahoma, Conor Bradley, Endo, and Chiesa. So from an attacking threat point of view, Liverpool have got Elliott. So let's try and maybe see what Liverpool's options are. Let's say Elliott. Let's choose Chiesa. And let's choose who. I'm trying to pick just the potential attacking threat in Ngahoma. So this is who you have, right? From a purely attacking point of view, this is what I think this would be the main option. You're going to have 9 players on the bench. I think when you look at it, actually Arsenal have a superior attacking threat off the bench compared to Liverpool. And I also hope tomorrow that Reece Nelson potentially would be able to make the bench as well. So we have Waneri who could potentially come on the right wing or could replace Eze. We have Trossard who could play on either wing. And we have Mourinho who can play in Eze's role. So we have quite good versatility on the bench. And I think that's going to be quite crucial tomorrow. So it gives Arteta actually a good range of options. And also potentially Odegaard might make it. But I think if Odegaard makes it, I'll much prefer that he starts from the bench. Yes, to give us an option off the bench. But in general, when you look at the lineup and the lineup is fairly even between us. But from the bench, I think Arsenal have more options than Liverpool. In terms of defense, also, we will have Mosquera, we'll have Miles Lewis-Skelly. And I'm not sure Ben White is fit, whether he will make it. Ben White makes it, that would be great as well. And obviously, we've got Norgard, who hasn't played for some reason because he's picked up an injury. So Arsenal do have options, I think. And that's one of the key ingredients to winning titles that we've got. You have Saka out, you have Odegaard out, but we are less concerned. Historically, this would have been a very difficult match to follow, given the given the injuries that we've got. But so it's quite rare that Arsenal actually, I think this season presents a real step change in Arsenal squad management, that we actually have we have a squad that can cope with these injuries. And I think that's quite important. So yeah, I'm actually, like I said, I'm actually quite looking forward to the, the tactical chess battle between Arteta and Slot. Anfield is a very difficult place to go to. As bad as Liverpool have been, they are still winning games. They are still a very strong side. They have home advantage, and also going to have to be very good tomorrow. We're going to have to be very disciplined in terms of just the general play, our tactical positioning, and we also need to be mindful of the referee. We've seen this weekend there's been quite a lot of controversial decisions. I am not sure about the state of play of refereeing in the Premier League these days, because um, it's not a good sight for a football fan at the moment. The way referees are managing the game. So Arsenal would have to be very disciplined. We will need to be compact. It will need to be defensively solid. We're going to get some set pieces for sure. And Liverpool are not very good at defending set pieces. And we have a much stronger defense than Liverpool. So if we take the lead, Liverpool are going to overcommit. You're going to throw the kitchen sink at us, etc. And it's very important that Arsenal stay resolute and disciplined and not get into the kind of the basketball game that we saw at Old Trafford early in the season. I think there's still a lot to come from Arsenal. We're still an evolving team. Us as Liverpool, we're a bit in transition, but the difference between us and Liverpool is that we've got a settled back five. Timber, Calafiori, Miles Lewis-Skelly, very solid. Gabriel and Saliba solid. Raya solid. So the back five gives a platform for us to go and perform. For us at Liverpool, I think the reason why they've been a bit rocky defensively is because they've got, the right back position is still not quite secure. They've got Kerkez, who's a bit erratic. They obviously got a good pairing, and then you got Konate, who, has been a bit unsteady. There, I speak to a few Liverpool fans, and they say, well, he doesn't want to sign a new contract, and that's destabilized him, etc. So that's one area for Arsenal to explore tomorrow, in that Liverpool are quite vulnerable defensively, and Arsenal are quite strong defensively. I can't see us being overly attacking tomorrow. I think Arteta is going to be very cautious. He's going to make it solid, and he's going to make it an extremely difficult, disjointed game for Liverpool. And we're going to capitalize on set pieces, because they are going to come, and we are going to expose Liverpool. We have scored from set pieces. I think the season before we scored quite a very good set piece goal. I think it was from Gabriel, and then Liverpool equalized and the game ended 1-1. But this time around, Arsenal very strong. We're a huge threat. And if we take the lead, we might be able to keep it. So my prediction for this game is 2-1 to Arsenal. I think we'll take an early goal, and Liverpool will end up overcommitting, and we'll score the second goal. They will end up overloading us and probably get a consolation goal back. So honestly speaking, I think I was speaking to some Liverpool fans, and I say this game is probably going to play out like the game at City last season, where we had a very difficult start. City were throwing everything at us, took the lead, we turned it around 2-1, and unfortunately Trossard got sent off. We played 10 men with over 45 minutes. But hopefully our players can keep their discipline tomorrow. And I expect a very good quality, a high quality match tomorrow, with Arsenal being extremely strong, very disciplined, and hopefully snatching the win. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments. I look forward to seeing the game tomorrow. All right, peace out.